So you've been playing Forza Horizon 5 for some time now, or you've just joined in on the fun, where fun has a very broad meaning. And you are having trouble with the car you're using, or you could be somebody that needs some help with building or tuning, or you just need some driving tips. If you answered yes to any of this, then this is the video series for you. Starting with this video, I'm going to be breaking down my whole process and all of my methods from beginning to end for any kind of vehicle and any kind of racing. And this includes how I choose a car, how I build and tune a car, how I drive a car, and more specifically, how I do all of this in all kinds of racing that take place within Horizon's version of Mexico. As always, please go ahead and smash that like button to let me know I've helped some of you in some way at least, and subscribe so you can stay up to date with the series. It's free, and you know, who doesn't like free stuff? Yeah, I am about to give everybody a full course on racing in Forza Horizon 5 at no cost to anybody but myself. So come on, hit that subscribe button for me. Now without further ado, hello and welcome everyone to Sheeny's Guide to Horizon 5. So for the first video of this tutorial series, I will be explaining how I choose a car, but first I need to ask all of you a question. What do you do when you choose a car? Do you look at what others are using, or do you look at what the OP meta cars are? Do you base it on something you saw in real life? We all want to win the race, of course, but I actually like to use the different cars compared to the OP meta cars. In fact, I want to use all of the cars in the game at least once, so here's my process of choosing a car. Right then, over 500 cars to choose from, and almost all of them are good at so many things, and each of them can really differentiate themselves pretty well. So how do we do this? Choosing a car may seem like a simple task, but it can be complicated. I'll use myself as an example. Sometimes my car choices are just absolutely crap. I've been back to the drawing board so many times that I end up losing count of what version I was working on, until I just give up one day and leave it alone for a while. And eventually I'll be in the shower one day and the idea will just come to me for what kind of build the car should be. Now on to actually deciding what car to use and how to see if it will be worth it. Firstly, we have to ask a question: what do I want to do with this? Are you looking for a road car with tons of power and all-out acceleration with no grip? Or do you want a cross-country speed machine that can handle rock climbing if you need it to? This is the first question that needs to be answered, just to give you some direction out of what you want from it. The next thing I look for is if the car meets certain criteria before I deem it worthy of doing a build out of it. The basic way I do this is using the stats for the car in the game itself. Now, these stats are just a guideline that I use when looking at a car in stock condition. I don't use these after I put any upgrades or do any tuning to the car, because these numbers are no longer a true indication of what the car is capable of. When you found a car and you know what you want to do with it, you need to pay attention to a few things. If you want a car for road racing, in the end, the car will have to have good acceleration, brilliant handling, great braking performance, and at least enough top speed to keep up with the other races. If you're looking for a street racer, you will need all the above but a lot more top speed. For rally races, you will need great acceleration, and ideally you want something lightweight and agile. Top speed in rally racing doesn't matter to me so much, so I don't really pay attention to that. And lastly, if you're doing a cross-country build, you want something that can have a lot of suspension travel and ground clearance, some really nice big tires, and this is preferably a big 4x4 off-roader kind of vehicle. You also need some decent top speed for this, because of the longer stretches and easy flowing turns found in cross-country races. You may have noticed that for rally and cross-country racing, I didn't mention anything about the braking performance or the handling. That's because the way rally and cross-country races should be run is with more oversteer, and the rest is all patience and skill. This is because the surface you will be driving on is loose and unstable. The car will naturally tend to slip and slide about, and you should ultimately be playing into this. Don't fight that feeling. Even though we have not reached the driving tutorial videos yet, spoiler alert, I'm just going to give everybody a piece of advice for now. In rally and cross-country racing, find a way to get your car to face the exit of a corner before you've even entered it. The next trick is to get the car to get enough speed to pull through at the angle that you got the car facing and grip up once you've exited the corner. Patience and skill will be required for this, and more specifically, you need patience to time it properly and skill to know how much. I'm not going to say anything else. If you know, you know. If you don't, subscribe and keep an eye out for more driving tutorial videos. Back to choosing cars now. Your mileage may vary with any of these situations, and I need you to remember the above criteria about what is needed in each discipline, because it's going to come up again in a later part of the video. Now, while these stats are a nice guideline, the best thing and the next thing for you to do is to take the car for a test drive to see what kind of performance it's already at, and also to help you figure out what you should focus on if you were to make a build out of it. My initial test drive is actually near my player home, Hotel Castillo. I usually just go up to the main road where I find the start line for the Hilltop Descent Street Race, and I've memorized this route, so I run it in free roam, which is greatly beneficial because I've used this road so many times and I know exactly how much speed I should see, braking points, corner entry speed, etc. I don't only choose this route because it's the closest to me. It allows me to see everything I want to, from the acceleration, the handling, more specifically the handling at the different speed sections, and something I call effective top speed, and I'm going to explain that in another video, and finally the braking performance of a car. Along the way, there's also a speed trap and a speed zone that I use as a benchmarking tool, and this is just my initial test run for the cars that I'm going to use in any form of road racing. If you're looking to do a rally build, then you may want to check out the Horizon Baja Scramble. This track features a good mix of straights and turns, and really good sections where you have to brake for sharp turns with varying degrees off that turn, off that corner I should say. This track will really test the performance of a car that you want to turn into a rally machine. For cross-country races, the routes are a bit trickier for me to memorize exactly because cross-country routes are run off the beaten path. I just end up driving my cross-country builds off-road just to see how well the vehicle can turn on unstable terrain, how it can handle big jumps, and how it can handle going through water. That's usually what cross-country races are. Basically, for any kind of racing, you're going to need to come up with a route that you know how to drive in excellent fashion, and this route also needs to test the limits of the car. Pay attention to things like how fast a car can go around a certain corner. Make a mental note of that speed in your head. Use speed traps and speed zones as tools along the road to help measure the car's performance. Use markers on the road like signs or road markings to test things like braking performance, to show you how late or early you can brake before the car actually turns into a corner or stops. Things like this can really help with testing and tuning a car, because over time you'll automatically know whether a car is going to be good or bad, and also what you should focus on, because you've driven so many other cars through this route that you'll easily be able to see what a car is lacking. So just to get you started off, here's an idea. Take your most OP car in any class, and it can be built for any kind of racing, cross-country, rally, street, whatever. Take it for a drive on your preferred route, and after you have an idea of the kind of performance that this OP car can come up with, take a drive with another car that you want to use for the same kind of racing, and of course it has to be also potentially for the same class, and run the same route and pay attention to any differences and find out why these differences are happening. Perhaps you had to go into a corner and you had to brake a bit more than your OP Meta car, or the car didn't have enough acceleration to keep up. Whatever it is, find out, and you need to see how you can fix it, and I'll explain that in another video as well. Basically, you've got to find the problems with the car before you try to fix them. And this leads me to my next point. Doing the above will give you an idea of what a car's strengths and weaknesses are, and from there you should know what to work on when building it. For example, if a car has good acceleration but bad handling, then you know that the handling components need attention in the final build and tune. There's just one thing that we always have to keep in mind though, and that is we work with the class system, and a unit of measurement for this class system is called PI, or performance index. Every car has a performance index, and every car falls into a class. Your end goal should be to make the car as balanced as possible within the class you want to use it in. But there's also a limit you have to go up to when making it balanced. That limit will come up when you need to favor certain aspects of the car. And remember, I said earlier in the video that you need to work according to the kind of racing you want the car to compete in. The discipline of racing that you are building the car for will determine the bias a car needs to lean towards. And if a car needs to have that kind of bias, like if it needs more handling, for example, then the car should already at least have good acceleration, good braking performance, good top speed, just so you can focus more on the handling, you know. In the end though, it's really all about preference, and more importantly, it's about having a car that works for you. Some of you may prefer power builds, some prefer handling, I prefer an all-round balance build. Whatever the case is, just see to it that you're comfortable with the car, because you're the one that's going to be driving it. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the first video of my guide to Horizon 5, and I really hope all of you enjoyed it. This is just the beginning, and I'm also trying to do these videos in the exact order I follow when I do things, just to keep things consistent and let my thoughts flow exactly into the videos as per how I do them in the game. And I'm also trying to keep these as short as possible. I'm not going to go into too much detail in one video. With that said, in the next video I'm going to start discussing upgrades, because we're going to be going through the conversions upgrades menu. And with this one, I know I have to be aware of the purists in our community. I'm sorry guys, it's in the game, I'm going to talk about it. I'm also going to be debuting the first test car that will be used throughout the series, so you can look forward to that. I mean, I even came up with a name and a character for it and everything. So for now though, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video. Take care and good night.